morning, dear students. Welcome to Gurudev NEET JEE IIT KSET Foundation, Dharwad. Today we are going to start a topic called transport in plants and plant growth and development. As we have already studied in transport in plants, last concept is left. What is the last concept left in this topic? Pressure flow hypothesis or mass flow hypothesis. After completion of that last concept, I am going to start immediately new topic, plant growth and development. Okay, in the transport in plants, we have come across pressure flow hypothesis or mass flow hypothesis. What this hypothesis explains? Remember, this is a leaf and this is a root. Leaf is called a source. It is a source, and root is called a sink. Source, why it is source? Because here continuously food is going to be synthesized, food is going to be prepared. That's why it is called source. And here food is going to be continuously used, stored. That's why it is called sink. So food is synthesized here, that's why it is a source, and food is consumed, that is called sink. So from this source, that means from leaf cell to root cell, how food is going to be transported, that we have to study under this hypothesis. This hypothesis explained by scientist Ernst Mach. What is this hypothesis telling? Mechanism of sugar transport, that is the phloem transport. Mechanism of sugar transport means phloem transport. That means sugar is going to be produced in the leaf and transported to a phloem tissue. That is nothing but mechanism of phloem transport. Okay. Remember, initially in the leaf, glucose is prepared. Here glucose is prepared and glucose is going to be converted into leaf. This glucose is going to be converted into leaf sucrose. Remember. And this glucose is going to be converted into sucrose. As sucrose is a disaccharide, you know that. Here glucose is produced and glucose is converted into sucrose. So what happens next? This sucrose move into this companion cell. This is the companion cell. The companion cell, you know that we have studied anatomy of flowering plant in that. Phloem cell or phloem element is called companion cell. So sucrose synthesized here goes into the companion cell and companion cell to the sieve tube. So this is what we can say. This is the sieve tube. Sieve tubes are arranged one above the other. This is another sieve tube. This is another sieve tube. So sieve tubes are arranged one above the other. I am writing. You can observe my pointer. Okay, this is the sieve tube. In the sieve tube, now the sucrose is coming here at this point. Remember, at this point, what is coming? Sucrose is coming. This is the sieve tube. And this sucrose from this leaf to this sieve tube, it is coming by active transport process. By what transport? Active transport process. It is coming from leaf to this sieve tube. This is called loading, or we can call it vent loading. And after sucrose enters here, what is happening here? After entering sucrose here, in this area of the phloem, hypertonic condition takes place. Hypertonic condition happens. Remember? So here what will happen? Particularly this point I am speaking, hypertonic condition happens. Hypertonic condition. Okay. So when solute concentration increases at this particular point, water potential decreases. Water potential decreases. So water potential decreases, solute potential increases. So what is happening after that? You know, water potential increases, solute potential. So water potential decreases, solute potential increases. Remember here at this point. So here CU tubes are connected to one another. So remember these are the CU tubes placed one above the other. And how they are connected? They are connected by CU plates. These are called CU plates. CU plates. And CU plates are having small holes. Through that small holes, through these small holes, one CU tube connected to another CU tube by cytoplasmic strands. Okay, these CU tubes are connected to one another by cytoplasmic strands. Okay, now as I said, these CU tubes, this is one CU tube, second CU tube, third CU tubes are connected to one another by cytoplasmic strands. Now what happened next? As I said here, as already I have described, hypertonic condition happens. Water potential decreases. Water potential decreases. So here water less, solute more. It is connected with xylem. This phloem is connected with this xylem. From this xylem, water enters into this phloem by what process? Osmosis process. Water from xylem enter into this phloem by osmosis process, and once water enters at this particular area, remember this particular area, I am making pointer, red pointer here. In this particular area, hypertonic condition earlier, water decreases. Water now from phloem, now from xylem entering into this phloem tissue. So after that, what is happening here? After that, osmotic pressure increases. Water potential after entry of water, TP increases. TP means what? Turgor pressure and OP. Both are high at this point. TP and OP is high at this point, at this particular phloem point. And now at the sink end, at this end, OP low. TP also low. So now there is a pressure gradient develops. Here OP is high at the source end, OP high as well as TP high at the source end, and at the sink end, that means root end, OP low and TP low is there. So that is why food from this source to this sink, flowing in the form of mass, in the form of group or mass form, that will be on the pressure gradient difference. So high OP to low OP, high TP to low TP. The food is moving in this direction. That's why it is called pressure flow hypothesis or mass flow hypothesis. Pressure flow, why? Because pressure gradient difference between the source and sink. Source is having high OP, low TP. Sink is having low OP, low TP. So from high OP to low TP, low OP, high TP to low TP. So food is moving in the form of mass. That's why it is called mass flow hypothesis or pressure flow hypothesis. This hypothesis is explained by scientist Ernst Munch. That's why it is called Ernst Munch mass flow hypothesis theory. Okay. After this, we have to learn about here what is happening after the food is entering to this root. What is happening here? Here sucrose is going to be converted into starch. Sucrose is going to be converted into starch, and that starch is removed from this phloem, to this root cell, So from phloem, the starch is going to be removed into this root cell, and root cell starch is going to be stored there. Continuously starch is removed, and continuously here sucrose is produced. Sucrose is continuously transported here. Again sucrose converted into starch, and starch is removed. In the source, continuously food prepared. In the sink, continuously food is stored or utilized. That's why continuously food is moving from source to sink in the form of mass or pressure gradient difference. That's why it is called pressure flow hypothesis or mass flow hypothesis. Once remember here, starch is removed from this. Water potential here increases. As the water potential increased here, water from this phloem again re-enter into the xylem. As water potential increases, why water potential increase? Starch is removed here. After removal of starch, water potential increases here. So water from this xylem again re-enter into the water from this phloem re-enter into the xylem. So in this way, this is called mass flow hypothesis or pressure flow hypothesis. Okay, now what is the next concept we have to study? Which tissue responsible for mass flow hypothesis? Now we are telling that phloem is responsible for mass flow hypothesis. But what is the proof for that? The phloem is going to be transported that food from leaf to the root. What is that? In this experiment, ringing and girdling experiment it is. In this experiment, what they have did? They removed the phloem, they removed the bark and phloem tissue from this plant, and only xylem kept at the middle. They removed the phloem, only xylem kept, and after some days, what is happening? Above this xylem, there is a swelling happens like this. This swelling is because food is going to be accumulated at this particular area, is not going to be transported to the lower part. So accumulation of food above the ring, above the girdle, that indicates that phloem is the tissue responsible for transportation of food, because here only xylem present, phloem we have removed. So phloem we have removed means the food is accumulated in the swollen area. The swollen area indicates, it means food is not transported there. So food is not transported to the lower part. That is why the phloem tissue responsible for translocation of food from leaf to the root. This experiment proves. Ringing and girdling experiment we can call it is. Okay. What this experiment proved? This experiment proved that phloem tissue responsible for translocation of food. How they have proved? Remove the phloem and bark, only xylem kept, and the food is not transported to lower part. Present above this ring, that is swollen area. Okay, here we have completed the topic called transporting plants. And now we have to move on the next topic called plant growth and development. Remember, as we have studied in the morphology of flowering plant, angiosperm, flowering plant that is. So here we know the plant is having root system, plant is having a stem, plant is having the leaves. These roots, leaves, stems, how they are arranged? They are orderly and successive manner they are arranged here. Okay, now roots, leaves, stem, flowers finally converted into fruits. Okay, these are the fruits. So these are the different structures which are present there, and they are orderly and sequentially they are arranged. Where the root is arranged? Under the ground. Where the leaves are there? Above the ground. That means at the nodal region leaves are present. Then at the axial region there are flowers are present, and flower are converted into fruits. So we know the location of leaves, we know the location of root, we know the location of stem, where they are present in the plant body. We have studied in the morphology of flowering plant topic. Okay, now we are aware about these terms. What are these terms? What is meant by this seed? So seed is going to be converted into seedling. Seedling is going to be converted into plantlet, and the plantlet is going to be converted into mature plant. These terms also we are aware about this. What is the seed? You know, this is the fertilized ovule, we can call a seed. Seed means fertilized ovule. And from the seed, whatever the young plant is coming, that is called seedling. Look at this figure. So we can call it this particular figure is called seedling. Young plant coming from the seed is called seedling. Small plant, we can refer as a small plant coming from the seed. Small plant coming from the seed is called seedling. And after seedling, there is a what we can say plantlet, that is a young plant. Young plant. And this is a small plant. Small plant. And the young plantlet, that means plantlet is going to be converted into mature plant. This is a mature plant what we are looking in this figure. Okay. Now, you know, there is a there is a continuous increase in the height of the plant. Height of the plant get increased, girth of the plant will going to be increased. And you know, flowers, leaves, fruits not only have limited dimensions. This flower, you know, these are the flowers, these are the leaves, and these are the, you know, these are different parts in the aerial parts. They are not only having limited dimensions, but they are fall periodically as well as repeatedly. They fall and new parts are arises. That means, you know, old leaves falling, again new leaves arises. Old flowers are falling, new flowers are arises here. You know, in plants, vegetative phase followed by flowering phase. Vegetative phase followed by what phase? Flowering phase. That means, first initially root, leaves, stems arises on the plant. After that, the flowers are coming. Why flower is coming? Flower is coming for the reproduction. Which reproduction? Sexual reproduction. Okay. You know, all the cells of the plant descends from single cell zygote. Whatever this mature plant we are observing, all plant parts are having different kinds of cells. How these cells are arises? These cells are arises from single cell. This single cell called zygote. Zygote undergo development and form a mature plant. That means we are all are multicellular organism. Not only plant, but human being is also arises from single cell zygote. Remember. Then how, you know, single cell from that this plant arises? How their plant is having different structures like leaves, roots, like different organs like flowers, fruits. How different structural attributes are present in the plants? How complex plant body is going to be formed? That all we have to learn under this topic. Okay. So what is development? Development is a sum of growth and differentiation. Development is a sum of growth and differentiation. So what is meant by growth? Growth means irreversible increase in height or length of the girth of the plant is called growth. Okay. And what is differentiation? Differentiation means maturation. After growth, there is a plant organs or cells, tissues will mature. So maturation is called differentiation. Growth means in the terms of height increase or girth increase permanently, not reversibly, irreversibly. That is we can call a growth. And what is differentiation? After attaining certain growth, the cells, tissues, organ will undergo maturation. That is called differentiation. That's why growth development is a sum of growth and differentiation. We can call it this. Okay. You know, from single cell zygote, this complex plant body is formed. And in this complex, during this complex formation process, root system formation, stem system formation, leaves formation, flowers formation, fruit formation. These are formation processes are orderly and sequentially manner takes place. Okay, it's all from the single cell zygote. This complex plant body is going to be formed. And while studying this, we have to learn under this all developmental process from zygote to mature plant formation. There are some external and intrinsic factors, that means extrinsic and intrinsic factors which governs these developmental processes. Which are those extrinsic and intrinsic factors helps for the development process, that we have to learn. Okay, now we can move on the definition called plant growth. What is plant growth? Irreversible increase in permanent size of organ or parts or individual cell. Suppose this is seed. From this seed, this permanent mature plant is formed. See, this is a seedling. Seedling. From this seedling, there is a mature plant formation takes place. Remember. So this mature plant, when it is become mature, it is not again become a seedling. So seedling is converted to mature plant. Mature plant not again become a seedling. That means once seedling converted to mature plant, it's mature plant only. That's why growth is irreversible process. It's not be reversible. Okay. Once increase, that means increase. It further does not decrease. That's why growth is irreversible process. So it involves metabolic process. Which metabolic process involved in the growth? Say for example, photosynthesis is essential metabolic process required for the growth. Without photosynthesis, plant growth never happens. By photosynthesis, plant will produce what? Food. And that food plant utilize for its own growth. And once growth happens, this plant become a mature. Plant utilize the food, and plant after utilizing food, the plant become a mature. So which energy plant can use for the growth? Sunlight energy for the photosynthesis, you know that. Using sunlight, photosynthesis happens, and photosynthesis food is utilized for the growth of the plant also. That's why plant involves metabolic processes. Growth, that means it involves growth process involves metabolic processes. Okay, this is the definition of growth. Okay, now generally plant growth is indeterminate. What is meant by indeterminate growth? Plant growth is continuous throughout the life of the plant. Here given the definition. That means not up to particular age or particular period, it is going to be takes place throughout the life of the plant or throughout the lifespan of the plant. But in animals, there is a growth always takes place up to the certain age. But you remember, in the plant, growth is going to be takes place up to the lifespan. That means up to the depth of the plant, the growth happens in the plants. Okay, why growth happens? Now we can ask the question, why the growth happens continuously in the plant or up to the lifespan of the plant? Because plants are having, at the tip region, I show you here, this is the meristematic tissue present at the tip region of the shoot, lateral meristem present here, lateral meristem present here, as well as this is a root apical meristem present. Because of these meristem, continuous growth happens in the plant up to the lifespan. And these meristematic cells present at this tip region have capacity to undergo division and self-perpetuation. That means